The biggest roadblock that people face with essay is that they feel that I do not write well. Planning is critical and crucial, and I want you to understand that right at the outset. Show your essays to your parents. If they can understand what you have written, and if they say ki haan, this is on topic, you will do well. You don't want to choose the topic just because you feel everybody will choose this. You choose the topic which you feel connected to. So be specific when you're writing. Don't be like ki truth is universal. Everybody likes the truth. What is it telling me about what is your understanding of the truth? What is it telling me about truth itself? It's not telling me anything. You have to be specific. Hello everyone, Namaskar. In today's video, we'll cover a basic topic, which is how do you ace the essay paper for mains. Now, if you're giving mains 2026, this video is going to be very, very useful for you, but obviously we will cover everything from the basics. So therefore, skip to the relevant sections. If you're just starting preparation or if you're new to this, कि भाई essay का paper भी एक होता है, so then watch this through to the end and you will get a very good understanding of what is required in order to do really well at the essay paper. Now, this will be a how-to guide. We will talk about the art and the craft of essay writing. What is the difference between art and craft? Let's talk about that first. Now, 157. अब बोलने को I've scored 157 in the essay, and this has been one of the highest scores in the essay paper, like before the years that I got selected, after the years that I've gotten selected. And is it possible for anybody to replicate this? Let me explain with an example. Rohit Sharma is a great batsman, right? Rohit Sharma is somebody who you put on any pitch, who you put in front of any bowler, who you put in front of any other team, and you have the expectation that Rohit Sharma will play well. But do you expect Rohit Sharma to hit a double century every match? No, you don't. Right? Because in order to hit that double century, Rohit Sharma has to be feeling it. He has to be in his best form. The bowlers have to have some fear of him, and the pitch has to be completely in his favor. It just has to be his day. But does that mean that if Rohit Sharma was a bad batsman, would he be able to do that in front of the best bowling attacks in the world? No, he would not. So this is where the art and the craft aspect come in. The craft is what makes Rohit Sharma a great batsman on any given day. You put him anywhere in front of anyone, Rohit Sharma is expected to perform well. But if it is his day, he will make an art out of batting. And that is when you can expect this kind of a score, right? So when I got this score, obviously the topics were to my liking, I was feeling it, and I went on a rip. It was obviously fun. But at the same time, on any given day, there are things that I can express well. I can, put my words in a manner which is easy for people to understand. So today we'll talk about both of these things. What are the things that will make you a good writer on any given day? And possibly when it is your day, how do you become that great writer so that, you can probably also figure out something closer to this. But before we go there, we also need to understand the range of marks. Now, essay is one of those paper. Ab ye kya hai? These are mark sheets from CSM 24 and 25, Civil Services Mains. And 24 and 25 interview candidates were also included over here, people who did not qualify for your final list. So you will notice essay ka range jo hai, it is wild. This person who had 57 in his essay, his or her essay, was also somebody who gave the interview. But think of it, 100 marks ka difference yahi pe hai from the highest to the lowest. Essay and GS4 for that matter are two papers jahan pe itna scope hai aapke paas that if you can do the basic work, you can guarantee ki bhai, okay, you can leave the competition behind right then and there. Because most people are scoring 110 marks in the essay. You can score 120, 130 if you put in the right effort. And 20 marks ka difference in mains is a lot. It makes a hell of a lot of difference. And therefore, we want to focus on that. So, when we talk about the art and craft of essay writing, we will be talking about two things. One, we'll be talking about the strategic, the high level things, and then we'll be talking about the tactical things. Right, tactical things will be things which will help you from today itself. Strategic things are things that you need to ingrain in the way that you prepare for this subject. And in general, these are things which will also be helpful for you whenever you're writing your GS ka answers also. So now, before we get into strategic and tactical and all of these things, I want to talk about one thing. कि in today's session, we'll be talking about a map. Right? I'll tell you कि अच्छा यहाँ पे कुछ आपकी चीजें हैं, यहाँ पे आपका सीपी है, यहाँ पे आपका इंडिया गेट है, राइट, यहाँ पे राष्ट्रपति भवन है, यहाँ पे कहीं पे ओल्ड राजेंद्र नगर है. What is the idea? That today we'll be talking about कि okay, essay writing में how do you structure, how do you write intros, how do you do this, that, XYZ. This will be the map of the essay field. On the other hand, I also take the Ace the Essay course in which I'll also be helping you navigate. Meaning कि मुझे जाना है ओल्ड राजेंद्र नगर से यूपीएससी. So what is the path that you need to take will be done in this course, right? Because in today's session, obviously a lot of things I'll talk about, but I will not be checking your copies. I'll not be looking at what you have written. In the course, we'll be doing that also. So more details about that course on courses.upscprep.com, and we'll move forward. We'll start with the syllabus for the essay paper. What exactly is it that UPSC is demanding from us? So this is exactly what is written in the notification. Candidates may be required to write essays on multiple topics. They will be expected to keep closely to the subject of the essay, to arrange their ideas in orderly fashion, and to write concisely. Credit will be given for effective and exact expression. अब ये चीजें कुछ जो हाईलाइट करी हुई हैं, let's try and understand what exactly are they trying to say over here. Keep closely to the topic, meaning avoid digression. बहुत बार क्या होता है, people start writing an essay and then like topic छोड़ के कहीं और चले जाते हैं. This is something that is very commonly a problem that a lot of people face when they're giving mains. Why? Because essay में ना आपके पास space है. You can explore ideas. It's not like you cannot. But that does not mean कि in maybe 15 pages that you're writing for an essay, 5 pages are exploring some other idea apart from the topic that is being asked or the topic that you've chosen. So you have to hit the topic. You can't be कि भाई मतलब 6 पेज कुछ और बात कर दी and then coming back. You will lose marks. Second, arrange ideas in an orderly fashion. Meaning there has to be some structure to your writing. It can't just be कि I'm talking about A, then I'm talking about N, then I'm talking about D, then I'm talking about Z. You can't jump around like that. There has to be some progression, some idea about कि okay, you can skip. It's not like कि भाई A के बाद C नहीं डाल सकते, but A के बाद C डाल रहे हो तो D की बजाय E आएगा, F की बजाय G आएगा. There has to be some progression. There has to be some symmetry, some structure, some idea of what to expect next. तो इसको कैसे करते हैं? We will talk about later. But the next thing, write concisely. If you write concisely, का सबसे simple तरीका है to write short sentences. Right, short sentences, short and effective, crisp, to the point, not confusing. Basic idea ये है, क्योंकि बहुत बार ये मैंने देखा है that people start writing and one paragraph is one sentence, right? And one paragraph is filling half a page and it's just one sentence. So then उसमें क्या होता है ना, there is always a chance that not only will you be confused, but you will also confuse the examiner. So write concisely, write precisely, meaning be clear in what you want to say. Cut down sentences to make it easier for the examiner to also figure out what you want to say. Finally, effective and exact expression. Effective expression का क्या मतलब है? That tell me what you mean, not talking about what you mean. बहुत बार क्या होता है that this is a problem that a lot of people face in GS के answers also, in that there is a question on federalism, right? That federalism is not a very Indian federalism is a unique kind of federalism and ऐसे ऐसे करके कुछ question आया है. So what people will start doing is writing down points कि भी अच्छा what does federalism mean? What are the features of federalism? But that is not what is asked. What is asked is what should be written. You should write effectively to convey the understanding that you have about that particular topic, instead of कि भाई हाँ ठीक है हम चले गए कहीं और कुछ और ही बात कर रहे हैं. तो if you can do these things, effective expression which is written concisely, clearly, arranged in an orderly fashion, sticking to the topic, you can generally expect that you'll score well. Now, why am I supposed to know this? Why am I supposed to do this? कि भाई I want to become an IAS, IPS, IFS officer. So why am I becoming a writer? You also have to keep in mind that all of these high civil services posts are managerial posts. So what will be happening? You will be managing a lot of people. And the way to manage people is to be able to clearly think and communicate what you want to get done. The way to do that is to write. And the way that UPSC is checking you, whether you have the ability to think, whether you have the ability to communicate clearly, is through the essay paper. तो when you think कि भाई हाँ इन जॉब्स में क्या चाहिए रहेगा, ऐसा है क्या नहीं है, इन जॉब्स में बहुत ज्यादा राइटिंग की जरूरत है. एंड इफ यू कैन राइट अ गुड essay, you have some chances of being good at this job. Now, coming to time. Planning is an essential part of essay writing. This is even before we get into the strategic topics and the tactical things, anything. Planning is critical and crucial, and I want you to understand that right at the outset. कि भाई GS में जनरल स्टडीज के पेपर्स में यू आर सपोज टू राइट 4000 वर्ड्स इन 3 hours. 4000 का क्या जुगाड़ है यहां पे कि भाई मैं 10 into 150 word answers and 10 into 250 word answers लिख रहा हूं 3 घंटे में, right? 10 and 15 markers, sum it up, 4000 words I'm writing in 3 hours. Essay में you're supposed to write half of that, if even that. You're supposed to write 1000 to 1200 into 2. तो क्या है इसका मतलब? इसका मतलब सिंपल सा ये है दैट मेरे पास टाइम है. जीएस में 250 वर्ड्स लिखने के लिए मेरे पास 11 मिनट है. एस्से में 1000 वर्ड लिखने के लिए मेरे पास 90 मिनट्स हैं. 250 वर्ड का 1000 अगर मैं करूंगा तो मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 4, 44 मिनट्स. 44 minutes I have in GS, 90 minutes I have in the essay. So the paper itself is giving you a lot of time to plan, to think about what you want to say. So when you're writing the essay, don't just कि मतलब पेपर खोला और लिखने लग गए कुछ भी. क्योंकि अगर ऐसे करोगे तो फिर 2-3 पेजेस के बाद लिखने के बाद आपको याद आएगा कि ओ मतलब maybe I understood the topic wrong. Maybe something else was required to be talked about over here and I'm talking about something else entirely. So don't do that. Planning is essential. You have time to plan also. So therefore don't cut back on this. Don't worry about कि अच्छा नहीं मेरा टाइम खराब हो जाएगा. आपको 30 minutes, you can take 30 minutes very very easily. 90 minutes per essay. You are writing 2 essays. So 90 minutes में there is a simple split. 30 minutes planning, 60 minutes write. And even in this time of 60 minutes, you can still stop in the middle and think about, okay, am I writing and reading, going in the right direction? Am I sticking to the plan that I had made? So you have time in the essay. It is more about effective expression. It is more about sticking to the topic. It is more about ordered and structured manner. वो चीजें अगर आप ध्यान दे देते हो, time is not going to be an issue in this paper. You will enjoy this paper quite a lot once you get the hang of it. Right. Which brings us to the sweet spot. कि भाई sweet spot क्या है अब? कि भाई how do I get those marks? How do I figure out कि भाई क्या चीजें करनी है? सबसे पहले at the base of it all is clear writing. If you are not writing clearly, I am absolutely fine if you are a boring writer. A boring writer who stays on topic is much better than a confusing writer who I don't even know what they're going to be talking about. A boring writer, I will still give 110, 120 marks. A confusing writer, you'll get that 50 marks, 60 marks. Right? So boring is much better than confusing. especially when it comes to the essay paper. So clear writing is the first thing. But how do you get more marks then? How do you improve from there? This is where your opinions, examples, and some insights that you might have, which are counterintuitive, you can make predictions, you can tell me stories, all of those things will come over here. A combination of these two things is what is getting you top marks. Right? सिर्फ clear writing से top number नहीं आएंगे. Clear writing is required. बिना clear writing के तो नहीं आएंगे. But सिर्फ clear writing से भी नहीं आएंगे. Clear writing के साथ some opinions, examples and insights. Now, there is something that I want to highlight over here is the opinions, examples and insights. This is not your point. These examples substantiate your point. मैं पॉइंट सिर्फ एग्जाम्पल देके खत्म नहीं कर दे रहा हूं, मैं इस एग्जाम्पल से बताना चाह रहा हूं कि भाई ये मेरी बात को कैसे सपोर्ट करता है. इफ यू आर नॉट डूइंग दैट, तो दिस इज ऑल्सो बिग प्रॉब्लम दैट आई सी अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल मेकिंग इज कि दे आर जस्ट राइटिंग एग्जाम्पल 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 आफ्टर एवरी इन एवरी paragraph, and then they're telling me, sir, why am I not scoring marks? You will not score marks because I don't know what to do with those examples. You have to tell me how is it relevant to the topic. Why is it important for me to hear about this example on page 3? Like, how is it connected? When you connect these two things, you get top marks. Right, I hope that's clear. So, moving forward, let's talk about the strategic and straight. Here, we'll talk about the high level concepts that you need to imbibe in order to have a chance of actually, hitting 157 or 150 plus for that matter. तो इनके बारे में बात करते हैं. Now, the first strategic insight that I want you to have is the biggest roadblock that people face with essay is that they feel that I do not write well. When you feel that I am a bad writer, so therefore there is a lot of inertia क्योंकि जब भी मैं लिखता हूं तो my ego is on display. Right? If I write well, I feel really good. Why? Because like I'm praised for कि बच्चा this is your thinking on paper. And if somebody criticizes my writing, तो इट सीम्स लाइक अ वेरी वेरी पर्सनल अटैक ऑन कि भाई तुम ना तो सोच सकते हो ठीक से, ना तुम बता सकते हो, एंड लाइक इट डजंट फील गुड. एंड व्हेन यू फील कि माय राइटिंग इज बैड, यू रियली डोंट वांट टू राइट. तो इससे क्या होता है कि भाई एक तो एक नेगेटिव बिलीफ वो है, एंड उसकी वजह से आई एम नॉट प्रैक्टिसिंग इनफ. बट नाउ बिकॉज आई एम नॉट प्रैक्टिसिंग इनफ, I am not going to improve. So therefore, over time, what will start happening is any time that I do write, क्यों कभी तो टेस्ट दूंगा, नंबर नहीं आ रहे फिर से. So I am reinforcing that belief of कि भी no, I am a poor writer. And in the end, पेपर आ जाता है, and जो I am a bad writer वाली prophecy हम अपने आप को बताते जा रहे थे, it fulfills itself in the exam hall. कि भाई वहाँ exam hall में you go and you score 80 marks, 90 marks, and you don't understand what went wrong. So the way to counteract this, the way to counteract the poor writing, that I am a poor writer issue, is through quantity. Now, this is a quote from Stalin, sometimes also attributed to Lenin. But the idea is that quantity has a quality of its own. Keep writing. Write so much that you are not worried about bad writing at all. This is what I want you to instill in yourself. कि भाई हर हफ्ते 2 essay लिख दो. If you're giving mains, particularly 2026 में, so you have some 10-11 weeks. In those 10-11 weeks, I want you to write 10-11 full papers. Not because कि भाई, this is the way to do everything XYZ, but the more you write, the more you will understand ki what are the mistakes that you're making, the more you will understand ki this is how I can improve. And naturally, essay is one of those papers jahan pe even your parents can give you feedback. This is something that I want you to imbibe right now कि you don't need ऐसा बहुत ज़्यादा कि भाई इंस्टीट्यूट ज्वाइन करेंगे, यहाँ करेंगे, वहाँ करेंगे. I take the essay course. I am telling you this. Show your essays to your parents. If they can understand what you have written, and if they say कि हाँ this is on topic, you will do well. If they cannot understand what you have written, something needs to change. Right? This is one of the best things that you can do over here. Second, obviously, is AI. Now, AI के साथ एक और दिक्कत ये रहती है कि AI बहुत जेनेरिक हमारी राइटिंग को बना देता है. Still, it is much better than writing confusingly or not writing at all. AI के साथ just write down whatever essay that you're thinking, feed it to AI and ask it कि भाई is it clear? Don't ask it for marks. Don't ask it for कि भाई क्या करें ना करें. Ask it for is my writing clear? am I making sense, am I sticking to the topic? If you can do these things, जो 4 चीजें यूपीएससी ने आपसे पूछी थी, अगर ये 4 चीजें आप एआई से पूछो, am I keeping closely to the topic, are my ideas or arranged in an orderly fashion, am I writing concisely, and is my expression effective and exact? ये 4 चीजों पे अगर एआई बोलता है कि जी टॉप मार्क्स, मतलब यू डोंट नीड एनीथिंग एल्स, यू विल स्कोर रियली वेल इन द एसे। और मत पूछो एआई से कि भाई मतलब क्या कर सकते थे, कैसे कर सकते थे, क्योंकि एआई विल गिव यू अ लॉट ऑफ जेनेरिक आइडियाज। इफ these things are being hit, you are golden. How do you hit those things? You need to write like you talk. Don't write in a very formal and stiff fashion. बहुत बार क्या होता है, we think that this is an exam, this is a formal setting, so I must speak in a very formal language. Now, write like you talk does not also mean कि तुम छपरी भाषा इस्तेमाल करने लग जाओ वहां पे कि भाई ये साइड हो, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं। You talk formally, but talk like as if you are talking to an elder, कि भाई आपके घर में बड़े बुजुर्ग जब आते हैं तो आप इज्जत से बात करते हो, right? But speaking in that conversational sense makes it easier for you to write those things also. Use words that come most naturally to you. Don't try to force some words over here which you will not generally use in a conversation, right? Don't try to use words like didactic, कि भाई deontological. Don't try to use random fancy words क्योंकि I want to impress the examiner. All that you will do is confuse your writing. Use words that come to you naturally. Express the emotion, express the idea, express the concept that you want clearly, not with big words, but in clear language. Do this, and a lot of the times आपका वो जो effective and exact expression वाली चीज है, it gets resolved. On top of this, a lot of people are often worried about कि भी do I get negative marking for bad grammar, do I lose marks? Please keep in mind, nobody ever said कि this essay had really good grammar. If you are not hitting the core of the topic, if you are randomly digressing here and there, I really don't care about your grammar. If you are writing on topic, if you are giving me great examples, then if you also have good grammar, top marks. But till the time you are not hitting the topic, your grammar is not really all that much of a concern. If your grammar is so bad that your writing is illegible या फिर it doesn't make sense, कि मतलब इतना ही खराब ग्रामर है कि आपका राइटिंग ही सेंस नहीं बना रही है, so then obviously grammar does matter. But for the most part कि I missed a comma over here, it should have been a की बजाय an over here, none of these things matter. What matters is effective exact expression, sticking closely to the topic, and writing concisely. Those are the things that matter, right? Finally, in order to write better, you need to start reading. Now naturally, the problem with this is when you're preparing for civil services, you are reading a lot of notes, and notes में क्या होता है, even books like Lakshmikant. तो लक्ष्मीकांत का इशू क्या है कि भाई लक्ष्मीकांत इज अ ग्रेट बुक फॉर एग्जाम, बट इट इज नॉट प्रोज, it is point after point after point after point. If you read in that manner, so I am generally thinking in that manner, and therefore I will try and replicate that in the exam. What will happen? मुझे टॉपिक मिला है, I will write point after point after point. That's not how you write an essay. Essay is not a GS answer. So in order to write better, you should learn to read new things, different things. Newspapers are a great resource over here. This is why reading newspapers is something that I would highly recommend, especially if you're giving mains every day. Just make a habit of reading the newspaper mein you'll see some brilliantly written articles on timely topics which are also going to be helpful for your GS, but this will also help you improve your prose mane your writing. Apart from all this, you will also find a basic idea that when it comes to choosing a particular topic, a lot of people tend to choose topics on the basis of everybody is going to write this topic, so I'm not going to choose this topic. And this is something, you may think this is an absolutely stupid way of thinking, but I've seen so many people make this mistake that essay के पेपर में आपको सिंपली क्या करना होता है, there is section A and there is section B. Section A में you have 4 choices and section B में similarly you have 4 choices. You have to write one over here and one over here. You have to choose the topic that you feel the most connection with. What do I mean when I say feel the most connection with? You will get topics like, fear doesn't just stop you from moving forward, it is also showing you a path. This can be one of the essay topics, right? Then there can be a topic which is like, if ships are not meant to stay in the harbor, uh, that's an topic in and of itself. Ya fir truth knows no color, right? This was an essay topic from this year itself, 2025, not this year, last year ka mains. तो इनमें से जो भी टॉपिक विच यू फील मोस्ट कनेक्टेड टू कि ओके आई हैव डेल्ट विद अ लॉट ऑफ फियर इन माय लाइफ, आई हैव बीन अफ्रेड बट आई हैव ट्राइड टू डू थिंग्स, सो देयरफॉर आई विल राइट द फियर वाला टॉपिक. Or maybe you are somebody who has taken a lot of risks, right? Ships are safe in a harbor, but that is not what ships are for. So safe in a harbor but not what ships are for, meaning take risks. If you have taken a lot of risks in life, maybe that is the essay that you want to write. If you have had a very ग्रे रिलेशनशिप विद ट्रूथ, कि भाई हाफ ट्रूथ, लाइज बोलने हैं, बताने हैं, कैसे हैं. There are some people who are very, very honest and truthful. There are some people who have a gray relationship. कि भाई okay, it's absolutely fine. Misdirections are okay. Depends on how you've been raised or depends on your experience in life. You might want to write about that, right? Write about the topic that you will enjoy writing about. Don't worry about कि नहीं इस topic पे तो सब लिखेंगे तो therefore I am not going to write on this topic, because it will be easier. It will be easier to write about the topic that you are personally comfortable with, the personal connection that you have, because you will have a lot more examples to share over there. And at the same time, your writing will flow a lot more naturally. It will not feel कि जबरदस्ती मैं करके example डालने की यहाँ पे कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. It will just come, right? Unnecessary complications are to be avoided. बिना बात के अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी नहीं मारनी है. That is what this means. Big words for a simple idea. अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मत मारो. Don't, axe your own feet. For the simple reason, choose a topic that makes it easier for you to write. Because when you're writing 10 to 12 pages, 15 pages for the essay, again, you can write maybe 12 pages, you can write 15 pages, depends on your handwriting, depends on a number of things, but 12 to 15 pages is the general length of it. I don't want to be unnecessarily hobbled by the fact कि यार मतलब 4 पेज के बाद now I'm out of ideas. No, please don't do that. Right. So a simple example over here is, I want you to pause the video right now and I want you to choose 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. I want you to comment आपका choice यहाँ पे क्या है, क्योंकि this is where you will see in the comments a lot of people converge on particular topics. This is the only thing that I want to highlight over here, कि भाई जब हम ये 4 टॉपिक देखते हैं, people tend to choose 1 or 2 of them a lot more than the other 2. And this is a continuation of the point that I was trying to make, कि भाई you don't want to choose the topic just because you feel everybody will choose this. You choose the topic which you feel connected to. Is it about truth? Is it about art of war? Is it about thoughts finding a world? Is it about best lessons through bitter experience? What is it that connects with you? Pause the video, think about it, let me know in the comments. Right. तो आगे चलते हैं. Now there is also something that this is we discussed briefly in the beginning also. I will repeat here also. You can take sides in an essay. When I said in the beginning that you can give me your insights, you can give me your opinions, examples, you can take sides in an essay. You can tell me that you feel that the topic of the essay is wrong, provided obviously you justify your choice. You can't just be like ये तो बेकार है, खत्म बस. No, you're not getting marks for that. But if you feel that truth knows no color, you disagree with that, you say no, truth knows color. How does truth know color? Are there gradations to truth? What is the meaning of it? Is truth based on experience? How do I see truth? How do different cultures see truth? Is there a universal truth? Your 6 is my 9, right? There are so many ways to go about it. So if you disagree with that topic, I want your opinion and I want you to justify that opinion. You can take that opinion, you can take that stand in an essay. The essay rewards you for this. You get rewarded for taking a well justified stand in an essay. You get penalized for just dropping opinions without any justification or logic for why you have that opinion. So please keep that in mind. In the essay, you can take a side. And I think it's generally better if you take a side because it makes for a more colorful essay. Now, moving forward, try and be specific. A lot of the times, this is how people write. And they feel that, I have written something very, very important. They will write, ki, now what is this? This is a design brief for the Coca-Cola bottle. Right. So this was the original design brief. And generally, this is how people are writing. Not just in corporate, but also in UPSC. A lot of conclusions are of this kind. What will people say? Ki, okay, federalism is a very, very important characteristic for the progress and development of democracy, and therefore we should aim to strengthen it. I've said a lot, I've given big words, but nothing can be specifically pointed out over here. Kya hai ye? Innovative and imaginative bottle that catapults our brand into the future. This is that line. On the other hand, a bottle so distinct that it could be recognized by touch in the dark or when lying broken on the ground. Much more specific. Federalism वाले example की दोबारा बात करते हैं. तो federalism in a democracy is something that everybody wants, but only at a higher level. A lot more specific, a lot more pointed. So be specific when you're writing. Don't be like ki truth is universal. Everybody likes the truth. What is it telling me about what is your understanding of the truth? What is it telling me about truth itself? It's not telling me anything. You have to be specific, right? Truth is something that unveils the character of the thing. The truth about a story will tell me the deepest, darkest secrets of that story. The truth about a person will tell me who that person is when it matters most. When I'm being that specific, my writing becomes so much better. So try and be specific. It'll help you out. Now, at this point, I want you to pause the video. There is a pause the video moment which is coming up. And I'll give you a particular topic to write about. And जो पहला comment अपन ने किया था 1 2 3 4 वाला, उसी comment को edit करके I want you to tell me more about what we are going to be doing just now, right? Because if you do this, you will make progress towards becoming a better writer, towards writing better essays, because writing is work. And if you are not doing the work, writing is hard any which way. And if you're not doing the work, so then you're not going to improve. So therefore, when I ask you to, write about something, brainstorm about something in this particular video, I want you to try and do that. It'll take 1 minute of your time, but it will actually, help you learn and imbibe the lessons that we are trying to learn in this video. Right. So, right now, instead of 5 minutes, take 1 minute. And I want you to build a framework for, an essay about your parents. If you don't want to take a piece of pen and paper to write, I want you to at least think about, okay, I have to write a 1,000-word essay about your parents. It can be about your father, it can be about your mother, it can be about both of them together. It's up to you. I don't mind. But that's the idea. If you are writing an essay about your parents, build me a framework. What are the things that you would include over there? Am I talking about their education? Am I talking about their history? X, Y, Z. Pause the moment right now. Do this. Because then I have a couple of questions based on whether you have done this or not. So, if you had paused the moment, pause the video and you did the work, the next couple of minutes will be very, very fruitful for you. Things will make a lot more sense to you. And if you have not, this is giving me a certain idea, and this is giving you a certain idea about the intent that you have about becoming a better writer, about clearing UPSC. So let's move on. The first thing, when you made that framework, when you thought about, okay, I'm writing this essay about my parents, did your essay have a title? Was it something like growing up in 80s India, growing up in 70s India, something like that? Or maybe being a middle child in a seven kids ka household. Maybe that is what your parents ka background was, father ka background was, if you're writing about your father. Maybe being a educated woman in 1970s India. That is, if you're writing about your mother. A number of these things you could try out. Did it have a title, yes or no? Because if it did not, तो मतलब कहीं ना कहीं you were still not clear about कि भाई क्या बात मुझे करनी है. Right. Second question, did it have a structure? Because if you had a title, I'm pretty sure you also found a structure. But if you did not have a title, having a structure was also something which was getting a little confusing. Right? Because as soon as I say कि भाई life as a middle child, it is going to be a progression, right? I'm going to talk about okay, how many children are there, what is the family structure like, how did being a middle child impact the parent, and how is that impacting you, because in the end it's going to impact you. If you're talking about being a woman in 1970s India, it is going to be an essay about like all of the struggles and all of the discrimination that that person faced. The title often defines the structure. I'll give you some examples of this. Okay, this is the title of a movie, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. What do you think is going to happen in this movie? A lot of unfortunate events, right? A lot of mishaps. And that is what it says over here: mishaps, mayhem, misadventures. Oh, joy. So, you know what to expect in this movie, that there are a couple of kids and there is an evil looking guy, and he is probably going to cause some misfortunes in the lives of those kids. And you have a certain idea about how this movie is going to progress. Let's look at another example. This book is titled How to Get Rich. I'm sure you're pretty clear about what is going to be talked about in this book. So, the distilled wisdom of Britain's wealthiest self-made entrepreneurs. So, what is going to be talked about over here? This guy is going to talk about what are the things that helped me get rich, which anybody can follow in order to become rich. Is it not? I know by looking at the title, there are some things that are required in this particular book. Right. Similarly, if I talk about this book, the book is titled Luckiest Man. The book is about Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig was a very famous baseball player in the US, and there is also a major disease known as Lou Gehrig's disease, which is, if you remember, तो वो कोविड के टाइम पे एक वो आइस बकेट चैलेंज आया था, ALS आइस बकेट चैलेंज. So what was that doing? It was raising awareness for this disease, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. Think about it. There is a disease that that is known by your name, and the title of your book is Luckiest Man. I'm interested. I'm very, very interested in knowing more about, okay, what is happening over here? What is being talked about in this book? Why does this man, who is known for having a very, very, uh, damaging disease, right? It is neural degeneration, such a disease. And the guy is saying, I'm the luckiest man. Why? I'm interested. I want to know. So, therefore, what is the idea? Titles often tell you how it should be written. When you choose a topic, it also tells you how you want to address that topic, how you want to proceed that topic. Obviously, you will have to pay attention. The things will come. Like, for example, this is topic number 4 from 2025 mains ka paper that we just saw, that the best lessons are learned through bitter experience. Now, इसमें अगर आप मेरे को बता रहे हो कि the lesson I learned from eating a lot of toffee is that you get cavities in your mouth. Is that the best lesson that you have learned in your life? When it is talking about best, bitter, these are superlative terms, right? Best lesson, the most important lesson in your life is not about cavities, right? It is probably about something bigger. Maybe ambition. It is probably about heartbreak. It is probably about taking risks. When there is a superlative term in the essay itself, my examples should also probably be superlative, right? Because when it is talking about best lessons, bitter experiences, these are extreme events. So therefore, my essay should have extreme examples. I cannot talk like, the best example is कि भाई, have a balanced life. This is not an essay about balanced life. The best example or the best lesson that I have learned from seeing so many people get frustrated is that you should have a balanced life. Not very appropriate in this particular essay. And that's what I mean when I say this title, this topic itself, because this is not negotiable for you. You cannot, go and choose your own title when you're writing the UPSC exam. So in such a case, the title is going to tell you how it should be written. Pay attention. Now, जो रीडिंग एंड राइटिंग के बारे में हमने बात करी थी, that how do you read more to write better, there are a couple of things that I'll do. There is a great speeches ka PDF that I will share with you. This is some of the best unknown speeches that have been curated by James Clear. James Clear, if you know, is the guy who wrote Atomic Habits, and that's a great book. The second is a great essay that I want you to read. Right, it's an essay called An Alien God by Eliezer Yudkowsky. Why? I want you to read this essay and I want you to figure out what is going on. Why is this a good essay? Why am I interested in knowing more about this? Finally, obviously, the best examples of political writing, Abraham Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address, which is one of the shortest and the best speeches out there. Gettysburg Address is where you get the line, government of the people, for the people, by the people. This is where that line came from. Lincoln said it first. And Lincoln ka second commencement address, with malice towards none, and I think I've forgotten that line, but that's the idea. With malice towards none and justice for all. No, justice is not the right word. And kindness for all. I don't know. Mother, you can probably tell me. What is the idea? This is also one of the best examples of political writing out there. Abraham Lincoln, one of the best writers as president. Read these things because this will give you a certain sense of कि अच्छा, even with simple words, even with not too complex words. अब यहाँ पे थोड़े jargons हैं, ignore those jargons. But here and here, simple words, simple examples, simple ideas will get a very powerful message across. This is what I want you to understand from it. What makes it great? Why is it working? Think about this when you're reading these things. Which brings us to the second part, tactical and practical. Now, when it comes to tactical and practical, what we'll do is I'll give you particular tips, I'll show you some frameworks, and we'll also try and apply some of those frameworks to the questions that we have seen in Mains 2025 ka essay paper. Right, we will not be obviously doing a full breakdown of each and every essay. We'll try and understand some things. How do I apply this particular case over here? The first thing that I want you to understand in a tactical and practical sense is that an essay is not a GS answer. It is not a GS answer. So a lot of times what people tend to do is just like dump a lot of data on me to like try and convince me of an argument. No, that's not what you work for in an essay. In essay, you build an argument through logic. The data that you're giving me should support that logic, not just the data is not going to convince me by itself. If you're giving me, 10 points per page in an essay, it is going to be horrible. You're going to score bad marks. However, using that data in a way where you're writing logical sentences, it's still going to get you above average marks. You can use points. It's not like, don't use points at all. But it should not be that your essay is just like point after point after point after point. No. You can, if you're writing something to substantiate, there are two examples of this. 1, 2. Fine. Great. Use points. But don't overdo them. It's not a GS answer. You have to treat it as a piece of writing, not कि भाई छक 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 15 point लिख के चल दिए. The second thing, there's a process to writing an essay. A process का कुछ part we have already discussed, which is topic selection. Alright, topic selection mein we talked about that I want you to choose the topic that you feel connected to. Connection is the key element over here. Now, the second step of the process is outlining the essay. I don't want you to think about an intro of the essay or if I'm going to write a poem or a quote or this or that, nothing. Second step is outlining the essay. Figuring out whether I have a thesis here. What is a thesis? Whether I want to actually say something. जैसे अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले देखा, the best examples are learned through bitter experience. Do I have some, understanding to share over there? So thesis statement is a particular way to think about it. कि if I can clearly figure out this is what I want to talk about in this essay, that is what I'm going to be doing in the outlining part. अगर 2 मिनट 5 मिनट आउटलाइन करके समझ आता है कि यार ये टॉपिक में मजा नहीं आ रहा, नहीं हो रहा, 2-5 मिनट में स्विच करना है करो. But beyond that, you can't keep switching the topic of the essay every 10 minutes कि अच्छा ये वाला नहीं हो रहा, 10 मिनट बाद वो कर लिया फिर, क्योंकि then you are just wasting time and you will not get anywhere. Once you choose a topic, generally based on connection, you will have some idea about this. जैसे कि टाइटल से it flowed, right? कि best examples or best lessons through bitter experience. Best, bitter, it is telling me extreme examples. Similarly, because I've chosen a particular topic, because I'm feeling connected to it, you will have some thesis. In the rare case that you are not feeling connected to any topic, अब ऐसा तो होगा नहीं क्योंकि जब इतने जनरल और जेनेरिक टॉपिक्स आते हैं तो देयर विल बी सम कनेक्शन, राइट? Just let us go with the abstract exercise of if there is a topic which you don't feel connected to. In such a case, go with where you can find most points. Okay, in this particular one, I may have the most amount of points. Right? Connection, most important. If you don't have connection, go with number of points. Once you have a certain number of points, now your points कैसे बनाने हैं, क्या करना है, इसके बारे में भी बात करेंगे. But once you have a certain number of points, I want you to think about at least, 20 plus points. Now this is an exercise in dumping. We will talk about it कि 20 plus points कैसे बनाने हैं. But 20 plus points I want you to think about, and then I want you to cut that down to half. कि अच्छा 20 point मैंने सोच लिए, but now all of these points are not very good, not maybe related directly to the topic, because keep in mind I want to stick closely to the topic. So therefore I cut things down. Idea exploration वाला जो ये चीज कर रहे हैं हम, sorry, thesis में नहीं, idea exploration is where I'm talking about 20 plus points. Once I have done this, I have sufficient and diverse ideas, I've collected a lot of these ideas, then I will cut them down and then I will choose some appropriate introduction and conclusion. Ki, okay, I'm clear about what I want to say, what is going to be the main argument of my essay. I have chosen what the examples I probably want to give over here, right? And then I want to talk about ki, okay, how will the intro become most appropriate over here? तो कैसे इंट्रोज करने हैं, कितने टाइप के इंट्रोज होते हैं, इन सब के बारे में बात करेंगे. ऑल ऑफ दीज स्टेप्स विल टॉक अबाउट इन डिटेल. फाइनली, बिफोर यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग, फाइनल एक चेक दोबारा कि भाई ऑल ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट आई हैव सेलेक्टेड ओवर हियर एंड हियर एंड हियर, आर दे कनेक्टिंग, आर दे मेकिंग सेंस, कैन आई कट समथिंग आउट, कैन आई गिव अ बेटर एग्जाम्पल. ये चीज जरूर करना, क्योंकि राइटिंग में it's a lot more about reviewing the work that you are doing or thinking about it one more time, because writing is an expression of your thinking. Generally, you will have found that if I think about a topic a few more times, generally my quality of thinking improves. But अगर ये skip करते हो because I don't have time, so it's not like you can't write an essay without this, but it will be better. Your essay will come out more polished. Now, there is something called your voice. I don't want you to write an essay in a monotonous and, absolutely boring tone. Boring is still better than confusing, but you also want to personalize your essay a bit. This will be based on, okay, these are my examples. These are things that, you want to say. You want to say it in a particular style. Malab, say it. I'm not saying you should not have some style. You should not have some, pizzazz in your essay. But the first and most important thing, you choose where you have something to say. Because when you have something to say, when you feel a connection to the topic, your voice will flow most naturally, right? Still, I am not going to say I, me, and my. The essay is going to be written in third person. It is still a formal essay. It is not about your opinions. It is about opinions on this particular topic. How do people think about this? What can be done about this? थर्ड पर्सन में अपन बात करेंगे इधर. क्यों? क्योंकि अगेन पेपर का ऐसे है, आई मी एंड माई करके आप आइडेंटिफाई करते हो तो मे बी शायद उसके भी नेगेटिव नंबर मिल सकते हैं यहाँ पे. सो अवॉइड दैट, हैव समथिंग टू से, एंड व्हेन यू डू दैट योर वॉइस विल नेचुरली फ्लो, बिकॉज जो चीज पे मैं फील करता हूं वो फीलिंग ऑटोमेटिकली मेरे शब्दों में निकल के आएगी. नाउ intros, like we discussed in the process, will come later. Don't worry about intros when you're just starting, because बहुत सारे लोग इस चीज पे स्ट्रेस ले लेते हैं कि भाई टॉपर का वीडियो देखा था एंड टॉपर ने बोला था कि भाई स्टोरी से स्टार्ट करो, या भाई किसी कोट से स्टार्ट करो, या भाई मतलब कुछ ऐसी चीजें करो जो कि भाई एग्जामिनर को एकदम स्टार्ट में ही आहा हा भैया मजा आ गया ये पढ़ के. लेट इट बी. फर्स्ट फिगर आउट कि भाई व्हाट यू वांट टू से, स्ट्रक्चर इट. If those two things are done, then you can choose an appropriate intro. Something that people also try and do over here is कि भाई पहला एक या 1.5 पेज खाली छोड़ दिया, पहला 1.5 पेज खाली छोड़ दो, बाकी essay पूरा लिख लो, because again starting the main body of the essay is often easier. Once you do that, you can come back and fill that 1.5 page later. Obviously it will require a lot of planning, because you then can't be like नहीं काट के और कुछ यहाँ डाल देंगे ऐसे कर देंगे. You have to be very precise about कि भाई all of the things that you want to say इतने में आ जानी चाहिए. So therefore this requires practice, but this is one of those advanced skills that you can try. Right. Now outlining your essay की बात करते हैं कि भाई this is step 2 of the process. We have chosen the topic. I want to now dump and form a narrative. Step 1 is brain dump. Step 2 is forming a narrative. Step 1 brain dump का क्या मतलब है यहाँ पे? I want to just dump out anything and everything that comes into mind. I don't want to be caught up on कि अच्छा ये नहीं लिख सकते, ऐसे नहीं कर सकते. Nothing to be worried about. Let's take an example of this. How do you do this? We'll come back to the different frameworks and all. So one of the frameworks that you can use is abstraction. Abstraction का मतलब क्या है? We'll talk about. Let's just do the brain dump exercise. We are doing dumping. Right? तो dumping का क्या मतलब है? I don't care about whether this is relevant to the essay or not. I'm just trying to explore ideas. क्योंकि बहुत बार क्या होता है that the first couple of ideas that I think about are not my best ideas. Only when I start to think, मतलब 3-4 आइडियाज निकल जाते हैं ब्रेन से, तो फिर जो 5वां 6ठा आइडिया आने लगता है, then they are very interesting ideas. But if I'm already committed कि भाई नहीं मैं 5 पेज लिख चुका हूं, अब 6ठा आइडिया आया, अच्छा आइडिया है, but I can't use it anymore because I'm stuck. So the first thing that I want to do is try and break down these words. What is truth? Right? Can I say honesty? Honesty is a little bit truth, but not completely truth. Okay. ट्रूथ के मतलब एब्स्ट्रैक्शन देखते हैं कि भाई ट्रूथ को और किस किस तरीके से मैं लिख सकता हूं. ट्रूथ ओके, नेगेशन में लिखते हैं नॉट अ लाई. राइट. ट्रूथ इज ऑब्जेक्टिव. राइट. ट्रूथ में अब एक एग्जांपल जो मुझे आ रहा है, जो गलगोटिया यूनिवर्सिटी वाला बड़ा फेमस हुआ था अपना एआई समिट के दौरान, योर 6 is my 9. So I would say probably maybe I can use it over here in color. Your 6 is my 9. Okay, I don't know if I'm using that or not. I'm just writing it down, whatever comes. Right. Truth is objective, it's honesty, it's not a lie. Knows का क्या मतलब है कि भाई does truth know? Can truth know? अब ट्रूथ नोइंग पे सवाल आ गया तो ट्रूथ का सब्जेक्टिविटी का क्वेश्चन नहीं आ जाता, क्योंकि भाई ट्रूथ इज नॉट अ पर्सन और एन इंडिविजुअल और एनीथिंग. ट्रूथ, हाउ इज ट्रूथ नोइंग एनीथिंग? इज ट्रूथ एम्बॉडीड इन समथिंग? इज ट्रूथ objectified, is personified by an individual? If that is the case, so then obviously there will be a certain amount of subjectivity. Can truth know? Okay, if it knows, so what does the truth know? Is it immutable? Does the truth never change? क्योंकि अगर देखा जाए तो फिजिक्स की अगर मैं बात करता हूं, नाउ सडनली इम्यूटेबल जैसे ही मैंने लिखा है, बिफोर क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स केम अबाउट, क्लासिकल मैकेनिक्स, द न्यूटन का मैकेनिक्स वाज कंसिडर्ड एज हाउ थिंग्स वर्कड, but that was only because we did not know any better. So is truth just the limit of what we know? Limited by what we know? तो अगर ये सवाल आ चुका है ऑलरेडी, truth knows no color, somewhere or the other from my exploration itself it's emerging कि maybe truth knows some color. अब कलर की बात कर रहे हैं तो कलर में नेचुरली रेसिज्म का एक एंगल आ जाएगा, राइट रेसिज्म का एक बहुत इजी एंगल यहां पे मैं डाल सकता हूं, रेसिज्म के साथ कास्टिज्म का एक एंगल मैं यहां पे डाल सकता हूं कि भाई व्हाट इज ट्रूथ, मतलब कास्ट का अगर ट्रूथ में देखता हूं, रेसिज्म, कास्टिज्म, व्हाई इज दिस सडनली कमिंग इन? बिकॉज कलर, अब आई नो इन द वेस्ट, इन पर्टिकुलरली अमेरिकाज, भाई ब्लैक पीपल, व्हाइट पीपल, ब्राउन पीपल, इतने सारे कलर, येलो पीपल कर दिए हैं उन्होंने, तो लाइक समवेयर और द अदर they also are connecting them to certain values. They are saying that black people are not that great, white people are great. There is the implication. Are they actually saying that? No, but they are implying that. Yes, maybe. So like, does truth know no color? Is it objective truth? Is there something not over here? तो क्या हुआ है अब यहाँ पे? Just by trying to explore this idea, I have written down, मतलब 10-12 टॉपिक अपने हो गए हैं. Obviously, I want you to do 20 plus. अब 20 प्लस में 5 मिनट 10 मिनट लगेंगे. जो मन में आ रहा है, whatever is coming to your head, I want you to write it down. Because once I write it down, we come to step 2. Once I have 20 topics, 20 points, then I come to step 2. Then I am trying to now form a narrative. Ki, okay, now my understanding of truth or the exploration that I did, I have a certain idea about ki, okay, what I want to talk about in this is that yes, when you start, I want to frame this essay in contrast. Right, absolutely wonderful, because contrast again deals with color, right? When there is high contrast, low contrast, तो color वाला theme फिर से अपना चल रहा है, तो therefore we will be contrasting things. See, connection कि भाई जब टॉपिक आप चूज करते हो तो there's something or the other comes out in this way a lot of the times. Now, how am I contrasting this? I want to highlight truth, and then I want to say कि भाई that is not how it is. Then I want to say कि भाई this leads to an improved version, but then that is also disproved over time. So like, if this process is repeating, is truth objective? Does truth know no color? What is that truth? What are some objective truths? Because अगर फिजिक्स की बात करें, ऐसे करें, तो somewhere or the other, this is where my narrative is forming. This is what I want to talk about. You may disagree with this point, I don't care. You may disagree with this, the examiner may disagree with this, and it is absolutely fine, so long as what I am writing, the narrative that I am forming in this manner, it makes logical sense when I put it on paper. It is absolutely fine. You can write that essay. Now, truth knows no color में अब हो क्या गया है कि मेरे sections अगर मैं देखूं तो there's the intro. I have not decided what intro I want right now, but then there is section 1, then section 2. I want to have it in 3 sections, and then conclusion. Right, contrast अगर मुझे करना है तो truth as objective reality. Right, section 2 क्या है? Reality limited by observation. Okay. 3, I want to still talk about the pursuit of truth. right? Because truth, according to my essay, is now coming out, is an ideal. So therefore, believing the fact that truth knows no color is a good ideal to work towards. But does that happen in reality? Probably not. So now that I have a clear idea ki, okay, my essay is somewhere on these lines, now I want to choose an introduction which is fitting all of this, right? Ki bhai, ye basic, now I choose an intro, now I choose a conclusion. Getting the point? Once you do this, इस तरीके से आप स्टेप बाय स्टेप चलते हो ना, तो मेरे को इंट्रो चूज करना भी आसान रहता है, मेरे को कंक्लूजन चूज करना भी आसान रहता है. नाउ इंट्रो एंड कंक्लूजन, नेचुरली यू कैन हैव अ वेरी बेसिक इंट्रो, वेरी बेसिक कंक्लूजन, डजंट मैटर. इफ आफ्टर ऑल ऑफ दैट ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग एंड डिस्कशन आपको कुछ स्टोरी याद आई कि अच्छा देयर वाज अ स्टोरी अबाउट ट्रूथ XYZ, तो नाउ ओ ग्रेट, नाउ इन द इंट्रोडक्शन आई एम गोना टॉक अबाउट योर 6 is my 9. That's a great introduction, right? Ki, like, there is the idea I'm gonna introduce with 6 is my 9. तो इसमें क्या करेंगे कि भाई यहां पे एक इंसान खड़ा है, यहां पे एक इंसान खड़ा है, right? And there is written on the ground, this person is seeing from here, this person is seeing from here. So like this person is saying it's a 6, this person is saying 9. So which is true? Now obviously this is very very fitting for my essay. Why? Because it's talking about by truth as something objective, but we are clearly showing that truth is like somewhere in the experience. But then the third part I'm going to come with, no, truth is still something that we should strive towards, because somebody wrote that 6 or 9 or whatever it was on the ground. There might be some context, there might be a 7 written over here. If there is a 7 here, this becomes a 6. It is no longer a 9. It is not limited by experience. So therefore, very fitting for my essay, right? And then towards the end I will conclude with कि अब इसमें conclude क्या करें? Conclude इसमें करते हैं हम that why pursue truth, why exploring the surroundings while looking at the larger context of things will help us understand our reality much better. Therefore we can be less wrong. The pursuit of less wrong, that even though we are limited by our experiences, even though by limited by observation, there are obviously a lot of problems, but our pursuit should be to be less wrong, to be kinder to each other, to become better human beings. For that, pursuing truth is something that we all should do. I think I have a good essay. I will continue, now इसके बाद क्या करेंगे कि I've got the framework. I want to now try and highlight कि, okay, what are some examples, and I'll start writing. I think it took me about 5 minutes, 10 minutes to do this. Similarly, I want you to try doing these sorts of things whenever you encounter the essay. So step 1 अपना ये हो गया, right? What is this? This was this part of the process. Outlining and idea exploration. ये दो चीज अपन ने करी हैं अभी. Outlining, idea exploration. This is what we did. Now, a couple of things I want you to keep in mind while you're writing an essay is, number 1, the peak end rule. Peak end rule का क्या मतलब है यहाँ पे? Peak end rule is a psychology concept which is essentially saying that if you're watching or reading or consuming anything, there are 2 things which inordinately define how you feel about that experience once it is over. The peak and the end. Right? If there is a very high peak and there is a very bad end, right? कि भी ये जो show started slowly, movie started slowly, peaked very hard, and then ended very badly, you will remember it as a horrible movie. The best example of this is Game of Thrones. The first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, the craze was wild. People were, waking up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. कि नहीं नया episode आएगा. मतलब people were going after leaks and like so much XYZ hoopla, ये वो fan theories were going around कि अच्छा next season में क्या होगा, कौन मरने वाला है, क्या it ended so badly that nobody talks about that show anymore. Nobody is rewatching anything out of that show because you know that it's going to be a bad experience because of the way that it ended. The same thing is true for you. That right after this point, the examiner is going to give you marks. So if your ending is that horrible, even though you had some good elements in your essay, you will score below average marks. I hope this is clear. So paying attention to the intro and conclusion is important, which is why we have talked about do the intro and conclusion after you have decided ki, okay, this is what I'm talking about in my essay. Why? Because this and where you are starting, these are important things. If you peak in the middle, it's absolutely fine. You need to end on a high. You need to end on a hopeful note. You need to end on a very strong note. It need not necessarily be in agreement with the topic of the essay. You can go against it. If you have justified the against side, end on an opposite note. It's absolutely fine. But end on a high. Right? The second rule is कि there are some well-known narrative frameworks. अब जैसे एक नैरेटिव फ्रेमवर्क हमने कॉन्ट्रास्ट वाला लिया फॉर द सिंपल रीजन कि भाई स्टेप 1 स्टेप 2 स्टेप 3 दिस इज जस्ट द बिगिनिंग द मिडल एंड द एंड 3 parts of a story, 3 acts of a story. There are so many frameworks that you can use. I'll give you some examples of frameworks also. Like one of the most prominent frameworks out there is called the hero's journey. This is the same framework that is used in the Lord of the Rings. This is the same framework that is the Ramayana, Harry Potter. You take any major superhero movie, this is exactly how it happens. You take the story of Iron Man, this is how it happens. Now, why is this relevant for you? Because ho kya raha hai, it is telling you how to structure your essay also. It has to be in parts, right? First part kya hai? You introduce, you state the problem, you state what is going on in the world, what are the issues with the particular topic that you're talking about. Then the first crossroad, you talk about ki acha, why is this particular problem the biggest problem that there is? Why are there issues over here? What is the problem? How are we going forward from here? यहां पे सारे इश्यूज हमने एक्सप्लोर करने हैं कि भाई how these issues are going to cause the end of the world, how this is the worst thing ever to happen to humanity, and not taking a risk is the worst thing that you can do in an age where taking risks has been so simplified or like made easy, xyz. But now we must deal with reality. Pehle we stated the issue, not the issue, we talked about the world, we talked about what is going on, then we talked about some particular issues that we have a problem with, then we talked about okay, how are these issues to be dealt with in reality, what are we going to do about it, and then we end on a high of hope, right? तो रामायण में अगर देखें तो रामायण में भाई बहुत बढ़िया सब कुछ चल रहा है, राम इज द परफेक्ट प्रिंस, हैज 3 brothers and दशरथ is a good ruler, but then there are issues, right? कैकेयी को मंथरा ने उकसा दिया कि no no no, your son should be the king and this that and xyz. Were those issues needed? No, but they were there, right? And therefore they were highlighted quite a bit. So the second part of क्या बोलते हैं Ramayana is where the issues keep cropping up. So first part of those issues is like the Kekai and the Manthara wala episode. The second part is they're going to Vanvas. Third part is then there they are facing trials. Further trials in that Sita is abducted and more issues are happening. What happens over here? Ki now they're facing reality. Ram and Lakshman are now trying to figure out what do we do about this? How do we resolve this issue? They go out in search for Sita. They go out, they try and find allies. They find allies in Sugriv and Hanuman. There are issues. Sugriv says that, I cannot help you till the time you help me with Vali. They help Sugriv with Vali. So there are some side quests that are going on. Once those are done, then they are ready for the final battle. The final battle is climactic and Ravan is killed and justice is restored, honor is restored, everything. Ram returns as the king of Ayodhya. The thing that was denied to him has now full circle come back. You can trace the same story with Harry Potter. You can trace the same story with LOTR. What is it telling you? There are some frameworks, there are some structures of stories that you can use. So, इसके अलावा, this is to a general story framework. If you don't want to write in a story, there are also other frameworks that you can use. Like, for example, a very simple thing, past, present, future. I can talk about something that happened in the past. How did it change something in the present? And how will that impact something in the future? Continuation, right? A very simple framework. You can talk about the circles of the self. This is circles of the self is something I'm sure all of you have seen. But idea kya rehta hai? I talk about the individual. Then I talk about the family. Then I talk about the community. Then I talk about the nation. And finally, I talk about the world. Right? Highlighting and cutting down. This is something that we just did. Right? कि भाई हमने पहले truth को highlight किया कि भाई truth is very good, truth is objective, truth is this, that. We built it up to the max. Then we cut it down. कि your 6 is my 9. And then like we showed कि भाई how that's causing a problem. But like that is what experience is. We don't know any better. Then like we cut that down again कि no, still, despite the fact that it is limited by experience, we still want to come back to a truth. Because it is an ideal. It is an ideal that we must strive towards. Because if we don't have that ideal, anything is acceptable. What is the meaning of justice? What is the meaning of honesty? Why are we being kind to each other? Because we believe that there is a better world possible, even if we don't have right now. Highlighting and cutting down. Debating for and against. Well, this is also a very effective framework that you can utilize. This is known as the Socratic method. Socratic method में आप क्या करोगे कि you will take, let's say, truth knows no color के बजाय कोई और topic आपने लिया है, so then you can highlight one aspect of it. You can ask questions directly, but is this the right way to look at it? And then you explain why it is the right way or not the right way. And then you say, but then what happens next? Then you answer that question, you raise questions, and then you give an answer, because this is exactly how Socratic dialogues were written. And this is one of the most famous ways in which you can, give me an entire exposition about any topic. तो सेक्टोरल आप कर सकते हो कि भाई अब और कुछ नहीं आ रहा समझ, तो भाई जीएस वाला टाइप अपन ने चीज कर ली कि भाई ठीक है, मीडिया से रिलेटेड कैसे है, पॉलिटिक्स से कैसे है. यहाँ पे आपका एक आता है बहुत ही फेमस फ्रेमवर्क, पेस्टल. पेस्टल क्या है? पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक, सोशल, टेक्नोलॉजिकल, एनवायरमेंटल, लीगल. ये 6 डायमेंशन आई कैन एक्सप्लोर इन एनी गिवन एसे. Right? Truth knows no color. What is political truth? What is economic truth? What is social truth? Technological truth, environmental truth, and legal truth. कुछ ना कुछ तो आएगा ना. तो again, what are frameworks? Frameworks are ways in which to ignite your brain to give you more points, and then you can, explore. This we just saw abstraction and analysis. Abstraction is obviously, this is one of my favorite ways to write an essay. Why? Because it gives me the most amount of freedom to explore a topic. If you don't feel comfortable with this, there are multiple ways that you can approach essays. It is not hard and fast कि नहीं abstraction से ही करना है. Abstraction क्या था? We broke down कि truth की बजाय truth से सोचते हो तो क्या आता है, truth को किसी और तरीके से लिखते हो तो क्या आता है, honesty आता है, ये आता है, वो आता है. Color को कैसे लिखते हो तो racism आता है, casteism आता है. So that is abstraction. Abstraction meaning I take the idea to a higher level and then I substitute it for something else. Now, frameworks, ठीक है. I can add subheadings and diagrams as required, but again, it should not be कि हर पेज पे 3 subheading डाल दिए. ऐसे मत करना. ऐसे है, GS का आंसर नहीं है. I hope these frameworks and discussions are making sense. I think I've gone into the class mode right now because these kinds of questions I keep asking in class. And there's the yes and no box, but there is no yes and no box right now because you're watching this on a video. So fun. Now, अगर जनरल एक स्ट्रक्चर हमें देखना है तो दिस इज ऑल्सो अ क्वेश्चन दैट कम्स अप अ लॉट, दैट आई रोट सेक्शन 1, सेक्शन 2, सेक्शन 3 इन द ट्रूथ वाला essay. How many points in section 1, how many in section 2? If you must have it, a general breakdown is this, right? 3 to 5, 3 to 5 and 2 to 3. तो ये कितना हो गया? Roughly 12 to 15 paras over here. 3 to 5 paragraphs in the introduction, 2 to 3 paras in the conclusion. If this is something that you are doing, so roughly your essay will be around 20 paras. 20 paragraphs mein you will be done with your essay. So 10 to 12 pages if you're writing, so maybe 1 to 2 paragraphs per page you are roughly writing. This is just a general idea for how much you'll be writing. Rough idea isme ye hai ki if I'm writing 20 paragraphs, I'm talking about 20 maybe progressive points, or maybe I'm giving some examples. Some only have points, some only have examples. That is something for you to decide. But this is a general breakdown of कि भाई intro कितना बड़ा होना चाहिए, body कितनी बड़ी होनी चाहिए, body में pro, con and synthesis कितना होना चाहिए, and finally conclusion. Right? Now, after this, I think there's one more point that I want to discuss, which is inversion. Any time that you are talking about any particular topic that you are looking at, always invert. What does inversion mean? If there is a topic given to you, it is your job to necessarily think of what is the exact opposite of that topic. Truth knows no color. Lies no color. Right? This is one way to invert that कि भाई truth को मैंने lies से replace कर दिया, और truth ही है यहाँ पे, knows no की बजाय knows color. Okay, that is another way to invert. Why are we inverting? Because as soon as we invert, there is another way in which I have to think about that topic. Because ऐसा नहीं है, मतलब this is exactly what our thesis was, right? कि भाई truth does know color. Why? Because knowing is a function of human. Because as soon as the human is involved, the human senses are involved, and senses are faulty. Senses are faulty. So if senses are faulty, therefore, obviously, if I consider something true, it will be colored by my experience, by my senses. This was something that came up in the course of the exploration. But I want you to do this by default in each and any essay that you do. Right? क्योंकि इससे क्या रहता है, आपको एक जो काउंटर पॉइंट रहता है, you will not miss the biggest counter point in the essay, without which your essay will be incomplete. If you are writing 15 pages on any topic and you have missed the counter examples, your argument is incomplete. Therefore, always invert. Now, beyond this, abstraction हमने करके देख लिया, और थोड़े examples देख लेते हैं. Thought finds a world and creates one also. Right? तो thought finds a world and creates one also. अब इसमें circles of the self I've figured कि भाई यूज करते हैं. Circles of the self यहाँ पे कैसे यूज करते हैं करके देखते हैं. Now thought finds a world. What is the meaning of this? कि भाई I am not thinking in vacuum. मेरा जो thought मुझे आता है, कहीं से मैं सीखता हूँ. Right? I learn how to think. I learn how to speak. I learn how to walk. Everything that I know, I have learned it. So any thoughts that I have in my head are a function of language, are a function of the things that I have seen and learned. And interaction of those things that I have seen and learned is happening in my thoughts. So thoughts find a world. कहाँ से आ रहा है ये world? यहीं से आ रहा है ना. और thought कहाँ पे है? Thought self में है. Family, community, nation का thinking नहीं है. Thinking सिर्फ individual का है. यहां से नीचे आ रहा है control. और यहां से ऊपर जा रहा है change. Which is the other part of the essay. Can I not write this essay this way? कि if I'm thinking कि भाई दुनिया आपको बताएगी कि you should live your life this way, दुनिया आपको बताएगी कि you should drive safe, don't overspeed. You should not, but again, you should know why that rule exists. And if that rule is pointless, you should have the ability to change it. And where will that change come from? It will come from a thought. I don't agree with this rule, and therefore I will change it. The self, the individual, is the source of all change. Na family is the source of change, na community, na nation, na world. The individual changes themselves, the individual upgrades themselves, which in turn changes the family, which in turn changes the community, the nation and the world. But control कहां से आता है? ऊपर से नीचे, right? ऊपर से क्या होगा? आपका WTO will be telling you कि you cannot or you can trade in this, इतना हम इसमें आपको सब्सिडी देने देंगे. Nation is telling you कि okay, you should you cannot apply for this exam more than 2 times, 3 times, whatever number of times. Nation is telling you this. Community is telling you कि भैया एग्जाम छोड़ो, धंधा कर लो. Control and rules are coming up from the top to bottom. Change is going from bottom to top. Isn't the topic telling me कि इस तरीके से अगर मैं बात करूंगा तो मुझे कुछ आइडियाज आएंगे? That's how you choose this. कि okay, when I think about this topic, something like this might be useful. एक और एग्जांपल देखते हैं. Best lessons are learned through bitter experience. अभी obviously I want to have extreme examples, right? Because best, bitter. But at the same time, examples can also be in a loop. Can they not? Ki through my first bitter experience, I learned the best lesson of my life. But that lesson blinded me to do the next big thing. Right? Risk is what you cannot see. So there is a very famous story of the, I think, Mayans. Mayan civilization जो थी, उनका ऐसा चलता था कि भाई the world has ended 4 times, 5 times and they are living in the 6th world. तो होता क्या था? सबसे पहले दुनिया कैसे खत्म हो गई कि भाई आग लग गई, दुनिया खत्म हो गई. तो अगली बार उन्होंने मिट्टी के घर बनाए, बहुत बढ़िया. बट दूसरी बार दुनिया कैसे खत्म हुई? अर्थक्वेक आ गया. तो भाई अर्थक्वेक आ गया तो अब क्या किया कि भाई ठीक है, अब थोड़ा अपना जाके हिल के ऊपर थोड़ा हिल के ऊपर के बजाय मिट्टी के बजाय लकड़ी के घर बना लिए, थोड़ा स्टेबिलिटी आ गई, ऐसा कर लिया. तीसरी बार क्या हुआ? बाढ़ आ गई. तो व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? Each time the lessons that I have learned from my bitter experience are blinding me to the future and the other problems that I might have. If I take this lesson too strongly and if I think that this lesson has no inversion, then that is also going to cause a problem, is it not? So when I think about time कि भाई lesson क्या है? Lesson is a function of time. As soon as I've thought about that, तो मेरे को ये loop याद आएगी. Loop याद आएगा तो फिर I know कि भाई okay, this can blind me to that, that can blind me. So it's not like कि भाई lessons are fixed, immutable. ऐसा नहीं होता कि भाई you have a breakup and then you're like कि भाई मतलब I'm never going to love anyone all over again and this, that, XYZ, and maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 year later you're in love all over again. Happens, life. Is it that you forgot the lessons of the previous time? No, you learned, you were wiser. But those lessons also hindered you from getting into maybe some good relationships along the way because you were hurt. And when you were hurting, you were not willing to fully absorb and be flexible with those lessons. So, again, it's a very simple loop. Topic has given me time, topic has given me extreme examples. On the basis of that, I can figure out something. Right. Crafting and opening, इसके बारे में थोड़ी बात कर लेते हैं. We have talked about some basic idea कि you want to have a thesis first or thesis and exploration, and once you have done that, then you finalize an intro. तो अब इंट्रो किस किस टाइप का हो सकता है? अभी वहां पे तो 6/9 वो गलगोटिया वालों ने मेरे को बोला बहुत बढ़िया एग्जांपल दे दिया. But if I don't have that example, what do I do? How do I think about it? So there are some ways in which you can think about the intros. So intro के 3 condition आपको fulfill करने हैं. Intro should generate interest. It should be relevant. It should be concise. Right? Intro should not be a clickbait. Right? Clickbait, I'm sure everybody is pretty aware of कि what is clickbait. तो intro आपका clickbait नहीं होना चाहिए. Intro should be a good hook. And hook करने के लिए, because आपको examiner को hook करना है. And I'll give you some examples of great hooks. Wait. Right. So, like hooks mein, you can obviously tell a story, you narrate an anecdote, make a prediction. Right. Or you mention a startling fact. तो इन दोनों के examples हम देखते हैं. Prediction and startling fact. Prediction के लिए, like this is the essay. This is from Paul Graham, who is the founder of Y Combinator, one of the biggest VC firms in the world. I'm usually reluctant to make predictions about technology, but I feel fairly confident about this one. In a couple of decades, there won't be many people who can write. Right? Interesting prediction. You have some idea about how this might be true. And why is he making that case? क्योंकि अब chat GPT के साथ everybody is writing. What is the idea? So this is hooking you. Why? Because it is making a prediction about something that you know, and yet he's saying कि भाई अच्छा people will not be able to write, but it's the same thing as saying कि भाई अच्छा जब calculator आ जाता है तो लोग calculate करना भूल जाएंगे. But do I even need to calculate? I have a calculator, right? So why do I need to write? He's saying people will not be able to write. Chat GPT लिख देगा ना, problem क्या है? So there is that question that comes up. So having that prediction is something that is making me okay. Tell me more. Why are you making that? Why are you talking about this? I'm looking forward to now reading the essay. Good hook. Mention a startling fact. Now let's look at one of the other examples that I gave you. Right. So this is an alien god. This is an essay by Eliezer Yudkowsky. He is one of the leading, researchers in the AI safety space. And this is something that he wrote, maybe almost 20 years back. A curious aspect of the theory of evolution, says Jacques Monod, is that everybody thinks he understands it. I thought I understood evolution. Am I wrong? Do I need to find out why am I wrong or why that person feels that I am wrong? Again, curiosity, right? It is a startling fact that everybody thinks that they understand, but they're generally wrong. How am I wrong? I thought evolution was pretty simple to understand. That is what that entire essay is about, which is what I've given you. Go and read that essay and you will understand why is it hooking me and keeping me engaged. Right. Other than that, you can post some interesting questions, you can use quotes, poems, you can give some context. तो देखो यहां से ना प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर है ये. If you can tell a story, that is the best thing that you can do for your essay and your intro. Why? Because a story is something that we are naturally attracted to. If you can narrate an anecdote, which is a similar kind of a story, it is just, limited in other ways, not in today's scope of discussion. But that's the best thing. You can make a prediction. Why? Because predictions catch attention. You are making a claim right off the bat. ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता या ऐसा ही होगा. Okay, tell me why. I'm interested. You mentioned a startling fact. Everybody who thinks that they understand evolution. I thought I understood evolution. So that's the idea. How are you getting hooked? Because the hook is catching your attention. It is piquing your curiosity. Ki bhaiya, tell me more. What do you have to say about this topic? Other than that, कोई startling fact आपने बोल दिया कि like one of the ways you can think about it is we keep hearing that 930 and 40 का female to male sex ratio India में है. What does that mean in terms of percentage of population? Right. So when you mention something like women make up 48% of India's population, I'm generally used to reading 50%. Why is this 48? Okay, then connecting me to it. Maybe not as great as maybe telling me a story. Still, startling fact, something to get me interested. Quote डाल दो, poem डाल दो, कोई relevant है तो. अब जैसे यहाँ पे क्या था? This was also a relevant quote. Right? He was mentioning a startling fact which was in the form of a quote. You can take context for the topic. Thesis statement. Context for the topic क्या है कि I have nothing. I don't have a quote. I don't have a story. I don't have anything. Tell me at least what do you understand by the topic. That's the least that you should do in an intro, because that tells the examiner that you have understood what is being asked, which is fulfilling the core demand from the beginning. You are sticking to the topic at hand. If you can tell me just the context in the intro, if you don't have any of the above things, it is still fine. You can also define terms. Truth को define कर दिया आपने. Truth knows no color, right? Best lessons, bitter experiences, something you define. If you have nothing else, generally you will have something, but if you have nothing else, you can also do these things, right? I hope that makes sense. Now, hook ke baad, please keep in mind that don't be too fixated on कि भाई अच्छा मुझे quote use करना है नहीं है क्या है, because over here that you have to understand the example of Maggie. मैगी का जो मसाला है ये, this is something that is uniquely like able to capture the attention of India anywhere that you go. You go to Himachal, you'll get Maggie. You go to Northeast, you get Maggie. You go to Kerala, you'll get Maggie. You go to Chhattisgarh, you'll get Maggie. Everybody loves Maggie almost everywhere in India. Why is that the case? Something they figured out in the magic masala. But tell me this: no matter how much magic masala you put in the Maggie, if your noodles are burnt, this is not going to save your Maggie, right? So the quotes, the poems, the stories, all of these things are like masala magic. If your noodles are burnt, meaning your writing is unclear, if you're not able to get the point across, this is not going to save your essay. Please keep that in mind. Finally, the self-editing checklist. जो 20 पॉइंट हमने डाले थे, 20 प्लस ब्रेनस्टॉर्म, ब्रेन डंप, you need to cut. Do cut something, because if you are not cutting anything, that means either you've not thought enough, or you feel that I am the most brilliant person, individual out there in the world universe, and nobody can think like me, and you're not Donald Trump. Don't be like Donald Trump. Do not be bowled over by your own brilliance. Cut something out, because the more you cut, the more you will be forced to keep the most important points. When you keep the most important points, your essay becomes that much better for it. Also figure out कि भी okay, introduction पे जैसे 6 verses 9 हमने बात करी, obviously I got lucky कि भी अच्छा मतलब वो हमने सोचते हुए भी आई थी, it just fit the thesis also. But can I say something else? Is there a better story that I have over here? Maybe I can think about Socrates drinking hemlock. Truth knows no color, but Socrates was forced to drink hemlock because he was corrupting the youth. Why was he corrupting the youth? Because he was forcing them to look for truth. Maybe something I can say there, but then again doesn't fit my thesis, so okay, fine. Is there a more apt example? मैंने examples अगर जो choose किए हैं, think about, are there better examples? This thinking वाला part, this is the part which makes your essay better. There is no magic formula कि बस मतलब quote डाल दिया और essay बढ़िया हो जाएगा. This thinking, this is the part where your thinking improves, and as your thinking improves, your writing improves. As your writing improves, the marks that you get in the essay also improve. Right. Which brings us to a number of things. मतलब फ्लो जैसे एक चीज होती है कि भाई एक पैराग्राफ से दूसरे में कैसे जाएं, क्या करें क्या ना करें. तो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अब फ्लो में आई विल जस्ट शो यू वन थिंग. राइट. सो this sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. 5-word sentences are fine, but several together become monotonous. Listen to what is happening. The writing is getting boring. The sound of it drones. It's like a stuck record. The ear demands variety. It's fine. It's not like it's wrong. This is making perfect sense. Right? But now listen. I vary the sentence length and I create music. Music. The writing sings. It has a pleasant rhythm, a lilt, a harmony. I use short sentences and I use sentences of medium length. And sometimes, when I'm certain the reader is rested, I will engage him with a sentence of considerable length, a sentence that burns with the energy and builds with all the impetus of a crescendo, the roll of the drums, the crash of the cymbals, sounds that say, listen to this, it is important. Also makes sense. So, flow is not कि there is a single formula for how you figure out flow. Even this flow is fine if your points are clear. Always keep in mind that the first most basic rule of essay for UPSC, we are not writing for the sake of writing, we are writing for the sake of an exam, is boring is better than confusing. Right? So I will be fine with boring. You'll still get more marks rather than if you're confusing. Obviously, boring से ऊपर आता है कि I can be a little more, like that second paragraph over there. कि भाई, there should be some quality to it. There should be some, energy to it. But obviously, those are things that take time and effort. And practice. So, writing is not just for the sake of essay. Writing is also something that will help you learn. So don't think about ki, I'm just writing for the sake of, understanding this exam, XYZ. Integrate writing into your life. Start journaling. There are so many people over the last couple of years who've made it to the PT stage and the final list of the civil services exam that are doing reflective journaling. Why? Not just because it helps them think clearly, it also helps them reflect on their preparation. It also helps them, regulate their mood, and it just helps them become better writers. Writing is a core critical thing that you require through each and every stage of civil services exam, and also in order to skill up in life. Often we don't know what we believe till we write about it. So write a lot. So that brings us to the end of the video. And I will remind you that what we have done today is the map. I've shown you what needs to be done, where it is to be done, intro kya hai, body kya hai, thesis kaise banate hain, all of these things we've done. The Ace the Essay course will help you navigate individually, personally, with your own writing. So if you're interested in the course, you can check out courses.upscprep.com. And if you're giving mains, Ace the Essay is part of the mains focus group. It will be bundled with that course. Right, so that will be all. Thank you for watching and all the best on your UPSC journey.